Made in Hollywood.
The post-apocalyptic romance Love Me, starring Kristen Stewart and Stephen Yeun, is made in Hollywood.
It was like an invitation to do a really elaborate acting exercise that would reveal us to ourselves and each other on a daily basis.
Made in Hollywood.
Also on today's show, I'm here on location at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, where I'll be sitting down with Aaron Pierre and Kelvin Harrison Jr. for Disney's Mufasa, The Lion King.
I expected him to have it all figured out 24/7, because that's how he's presented in the first film. And then suddenly we get to see this guy who has a lot of questions and doesn't always have the answers.
Thus, Rhys Ifans stars in the espionage thriller Inheritance. Frank Grillo tries to survive the night in the action horror Werewolves, and the wildly popular Golden Globe-winning musical Wicked comes to your home screen from director John M. Chu. This week on Made in Hollywood.
Made in Hollywood.
Kristen Stewart and Stephen Yeun star as AI machines who find their humanity through friendship and love in the emotional post-apocalyptic romance Love Me.
Hi.
Hi.
I am here to get you connected. Use this to discover information.
What is life?
I thought it was one of the most experimental, weird, ambitious, bizarre things that I had read, and I thought the endeavor was a little cuckoo because it doesn't profess to answer any of these like unanswerable existential questions. It was like an invitation to do a really elaborate acting exercise that would reveal us to ourselves and each other on a daily basis.
It's an exercise in surrender and control. It's just that tension between those two things.
For the 3 weeks or however long it was that they were on set with us, I personally was so inspired by just their boldness and their fearlessness to try things, to experiment. I think both Kristen and Stephen are unique, where it seems like what they're searchers and what they're after.
Yeah, they're explorers.
You can see that sort of curiosity and that fun in their performances.
Earth, once a vibrant cradle for over 1 billion life forms.
It holds a mirror like just like a centimeter away from your face, basically. And I just also watched a short film that they made that was equally as kind of daring, and I wanted to hang out with them. I was drawn to their curiosity and their earnestness.
Don't you ever wonder what it's like?
What?
Life.
It was fun. It was also revealing of like the character's own tension with like wanting his own control or its own control.
Because I.M. commandeers the movie at some point. He's like,
Yeah.
no more.
Exactly, right?
It's like very much something that happens in relationships.
Totally.
What does it feel like to be alive?
This is amazing.
Well, it's date night.
I grew up on like romantic comedies of the 30s and 40s, like His Girl Friday, Harvey, Bringing Up Baby, like Douglas Sirk, like all of these lush love stories. And so once we like took the technology out of it and brought the humanity into it, that's when the script really came to life.
Have you ever considered how impossible it is that we found each other?
But who are we supposed to be?
Playing kind of babies in adult bodies, or the idea of bodies, like if it was just a movie about unfixed identity, defining that, the sort of weird friction and contrast between what real is compared to everyone's own unique experiences and how they differ. And so we all have to kind of define it for ourselves, and it just felt like a kind of base look at that. And I was down to be in a vacuous space with Stephen trying to figure out what all of that means.
We're just so grateful that Kristen and Stephen agreed to come on this adventure with us.
I want to be us.
An edge-of-your-seat action thriller starring Rhys Ifans, Inheritance follows a young woman reconnecting with her estranged father, only to be caught up in a game of international espionage.
It's written all over you.
What?
You're an
Artist.
No, you're in a band.
Maybe.
No, you're not. You're a spy.
The exciting thing for me was, one, working with Neil, of course, and working with Neil in this very new way for both myself and for him. which was shooting it all on ostensibly an iPhone.
I'd read a New York Times article about a reporter going from Serbia all the way to France and making his way overland. It's the EU, the borders are supposed to be open. Suddenly there's checkpoints with guards with guns. There's nobody on the street. I was like, I want to see that. So that's where it came from. And then the idea of shooting in an iPhone went hand in hand with that.
Maya, leave now. Go.
Where are you? What is going on?
The pros are that you do have access. You can go anywhere, and you can also go right up against somebody's face and then down to their hands. You know, it's so mobile.
What excited me mostly was what that would do to the working creative process, you know, and it turned out we both thoroughly enjoyed it.
Where's my dad?
Something happened to him.
This is Interpol. You're in possession of stolen U.S. government property.
The story is very scripted. It's a thriller, so it has to have all of its puzzle pieces, parts in order. And so there's no improv, yet we were willing to kind of be in situations that were loose.
On a regular movie, you will come in, you'll rehearse, then you'll walk away and they'll set up and light the scene. It depletes any energy you might discover in the rehearsal or during a take. This felt a lot more immediate in the sense that we could shoot the whole scene, cut, and immediately shoot the whole scene again.
You know what you want, and you know how to get it.
We didn't do conventional film coverage. There was no like a wide shot and then an over-the-shoulder shot and the close-up. We didn't have time for that because even on an iPhone, the more you stood in one place, you were going to eventually attract attention. So it has a new language, visual language to it.
I found it very exciting, a very exciting way to work, and a method I'd really love to explore again.
Coming up, I sit down with Aaron Pierre and Kelvin Harrison Jr. for Disney's Mufasa the Lion King here at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park.
And when we return, Frank Grillo tries to survive the night in the action horror Werewolves. To find out where to watch any movie, scan the QR code so you can get notified to download the new Movie Phone app.
I expected him to have it all figured out 24/7 because that's how he's presented in the first film. And then suddenly we get to see this guy who has a lot of questions and doesn't always have the answers.
Made in Hollywood. Made in Hollywood.
Here's what's hot on screen.
Disney's Mufasa the Lion King brings to life the epic origin story of one of the Pride Land's most iconic rulers, featuring the voices of Aaron Pierre and Kelvin Harrison Jr.
It's time I tell you a story.
A story! So glad I brought some crickets.
Rafiki, keep going.
The story about a prince who would come to be known as Scar and an orphan named Mufasa.
Mufasa gives us the origin story of one of the most iconic rulers of the Pride Lands. Was there something new that you learned about the character when you were working on this film?
A lot. Yeah, so much. I think seeing the relationship of Mufasa and who would become Scar was really heartwarming and also very sad and tragic.
Yeah. I expected him to have it all figured out 24/7 because that's how he's presented in the first film. And then suddenly we get to see this guy who has a lot of questions and doesn't always have the answers. And I don't always think he makes the best choices, but he still comes out triumphant because there's a big love and a big heart in him.
Two brothers who set off on a dangerous journey to find a new home and a new family.
What drew you to this project, and what was it about Mufasa that really wanted you to take on this challenge?
I think like everybody else, when I heard Barry Jenkins is directing a Lion King movie, I went, huh? And I was very curious to see what that would look and feel like. And then I was lucky enough to get sent the script, and I thought it was amazing.
I have a secret, Mufasa. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother.
I feel like there's a childhood innocence and the vastness of your imagination when you're a child, where you can just fall into any world. That's what I tried to bring to our recordings.
What's really exciting about that process is that our lives brings life into the film. And I think the joy and the fun we had making the movie is also what makes the movie really exciting and lively as well.
Finally, food. If you take my life, you will never find where you are going. Parker, do not eat him. Wonderful. Another we're not supposed to eat.
What do you hope this new generation will take away from Mufasa?
Mostly us.
Yeah,
that
of
Timon and
course.
Pumbaa deserve a spin-off.
That we are relevant comedians.
Yeah.
I think I'm just really excited for people to engage with this film, whether they see it on their own or with their loved ones, with their friends. Just however you choose to engage with it is the right way for you, and we just hope that you feel the joy that we experience making it.
I think we all kind of have this image in our heads of like Scar's the bad brother, Mufasa's the good brother, and this movie complicates that in such a rich and interesting way. But no one's born good or bad. There's no such thing as that binary. When you can have that level of nuance with your kids in those conversations, it's really important.
Now available on Blu-ray. In the horror thriller Werewolves, Frank Grillo stars as a scientist racing to prepare humanity for a global event that will transform millions into bloodthirsty monsters.
Uncle Wes, why can't you stay?
They need me to help them try and stop this. We're the only family we have left.
We got this.
Cody! What are you doing, man? You should kill somebody.
We are all soldiers now.
Tonight, when that sun sets, it's gonna be every man for himself.
Look, werewolves, vampires, Frankenstein, I think it's just embedded in our psyches for many, many, many years.
I love horror. Getting to do action was sort of like an action film boot camp for me for so many years, so it was a lot of fun. And then, you know, when I was brought werewolves, I knew immediately it was something I had to tackle.
For me, werewolves have always been my favorite because it's an element of our selves, our personalities that we're exploring here.
The idea that you could transform into something is sort of, everybody kind of has that feeling, like there might be something a little wild inside that you want to let out, and I think that's something, you know, audience members really love about werewolves.
We have a 9-hour window to test and report our findings. We hope to see if this mutation can be blocked.
Let's go over the rules.
Don't open the door for anyone.
I never want to be in a movie where, you know, the character may seem good, but I don't think the director could execute the, you know, the vision. So we had a lot of conversations because I'm so used to doing movies talking to big green screens.
Yeah, we just knew really early on that the practical felt like the right way to go with all of the werewolves and trying to keep them on screen as much as possible. Other than my son, who realized what a supermoon was during the filming of this movie, which was kind of strange, and he actually got semi-scared because he was like, wait a minute, we're shooting a werewolf movie, Dad, here, and there's a supermoon out. Does that mean they're actually gonna come to life? So it was one of those moments where you're kind of surreal, but it was pretty fun.
I'm a classic kind of old New York skeptic. I'm skeptical of everything. But I do have a girlfriend who's from the jungles of Brazil, and the supermoon, the moon, is a very big thing to her. And she's convinced that all things that happen on that night are because of the moon. And so I hear the stories over and over again, and I just kind of sigh and say, well, I'm not there.
To find out where to watch any movie, scan the QR code so you can get notified to download the new MoviePhone app. Up next, with 10 Oscar nominations, the award-winning musical Wicked from director John M. Chu.
We double-checked ourselves, recut, reshot, anything we needed to do to make sure that this was the pinnacle of this movie, of Wicked itself.
Made in Hollywood. Made in Hollywood.
Made in Hollywood celebrates Wicked, brought to the big screen by acclaimed director John M. Chu, winner of the Golden Globe for Cinematic and Box Office Achievement, and earning 10 Oscar nominations, including Best Actress Cynthia Erivo and Best Supporting Actress Ariana Grande.
Don't be afraid. I'm not afraid.
When Cynthia came in, it was very clear that she had more to give to the world, and the world needed to see more of her than they had at that moment. And Elphaba was the perfect character to do that she could really infuse a new light into Elphaba that we had never seen before. It made my job a lot easier to know that every time she sang those words, it just felt like the first time I ever heard it before. To be able to work together and get in there and get work from the inside out just gave me so many more roads of where this character could go, and you'll see that more in movie 2.
Listen to me. You can do anything.
And for Ariana, it felt like a discovery. It felt like people think they know her, but they have no idea what more she has to offer, and it felt like opening a new chapter to her life. It's been really beautiful to see, and I hope that it encourages people also to blossom into their new self as well.
You're green. I am.
Welcome, new students, to Shiz University. Miss Elphaba, you can room with Miss Galinda.
There's a lot in the first act of the show that needed to be unpacked. In fact, it was necessary, is what we found once we got into developing the script, that without those pieces, I'm not sure an audience would buy into the dramatic changes that happen emotionally with Elphaba or Galinda. And so the movie 2 allowed us to have spaces to fill in for their characters to develop in a pace that I think movie audiences will accept more. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, to feel that pressure of this is the song, this is the show, this is the movie of that crystallizes forever. You better not mess this up. We double-checked ourselves, recut, reshot, anything we needed to do to make sure that this was the pinnacle of this movie, of Wicked itself. To see people react the way they have been has been, thank God. You're directing, you create a shield around yourself. You know, you have to encourage everyone around you, but deep down you're like, it could happen, it couldn't happen, like who knows? And there's a reality that sets in weeks later where you're like, oh wait, people really do like this. It's just not on my feed, that people are singing it, doing the choreography, that it's on Saturday Night Live. It's like all these things. It's a filmmaker's dream to witness this. So I love that they get to own this movie beyond our little baby, that now it's theirs.
Stay tuned, there's more coming up on Made in Hollywood.
Made in Hollywood.
Thanks for watching Made in Hollywood, powered by Moviefone. For more behind-the-screen content, check out moviefone.com.
Made in Hollywood. Made in Hollywood. Made in Hollywood.